is our Writers Wednesday, and let's make sure we're recording this. And I welcome you to our book club, and we get to discuss the classic by Julia Cameron called The Artist Way. And now you've probably already did a deep dive into this book. Let's see what some of our other favorite creative artists have to say about it. Annie Lamott said, The Artist Way by Julia Cameron is not exclusively about writing. Is it about discovering and developing the artist within, whether a painter, poet, screenwriter, musician? It is a lot about writing. If you've always wanted to pursue a creative dream, if you've always wanted to play and create with words or paints, this book will gently get you started and help you learn all kinds of paying attention techniques. And that, after all, is what being an artist is all about. It's about learning to pay attention. In fact, Jose Ortega y Gasset, which is a quote that's featured in this book, said, "Tell me to what you pay attention, and I will tell you who you are." And in today's book club, we get to talk about how this book has helped us give more appreciative attention to the world around us and to our writing projects. So I have 5 questions, and here's how we're going to rock and roll. It's in a book club. The whole idea is to have a discussion, is to hear your stories, is to hear how this book has impacted you, to hear a quote or an insight that got your eyebrows up, or to hear something that had never occurred to you before that really changed the way you approached your creative project. So we're going to have 2 minutes each. And what that means is that I ask a question and I'll give a very quick answer, and I'll hold myself accountable to that 2 minutes max. And then we'll open it up. So if you have something to say, please raise your hand. I'll call on you and it's your turn. Wrap it up under 2 minutes so we can give someone else a chance. And we'll have a really rising tide, raising all writers conversation about this book. So first question is, because there are more than 300 of them in this book, what is a favorite quote from this book? And how did it affect you? So I'll keep to my 2 minutes. I've got 2 favorite quotes. One is from Julia Cameron herself, and she said that art is not thinking something up. It's just the opposite. It's getting something down. Isn't that a great quote? And then there's this one from Martin Buber, and it is on page 198. All right, let's go to 198 real quick. And play is the exaltation of the possible. And wasn't that one of the wonderful aspects about this book, is that it really showcased how play is part of creativity. And if we're too busy to play, we're too busy. As George Bernard Shaw said, we don't grow old before, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So those are a couple of my favorite quotes. All right, I can't wait to hear some of yours. Somebody raise your hand. Let's rock and roll. Okay, please go ahead. Catherine.
I liked, you mean if I have these gifts, I'm supposed to use them? Because, you know, if you're going to listen to your inner critic or whatever and get stuck, why then you're not using your gifts. And I liked, write it all down. You can help a lot of people. Wow. You know, how many things might you not be able to serve your fellow people if you just hold back and don't write it down, or paint or play it musically or whatever you do.
Yeah. Yep. Good. Catherine, I love them. All right, let's keep going. Other favorite quotes and why? How did they impact you? Okay, Mason, go, and then Lee, you after that, please.
Sure. On page 118, I ran across a quote that was kind of unexpected to me. And it reads, in the esoteric Judaism of the Kabbalah, the deep self is named the neshama, from the root of shum, to hear or listen. The neshama is she who listens, the soul who inspires or guides us. Well, I learned Hebrew as a kid, so I was familiar with the Shema and the listen. I never made the connection to the soul, the neshama, and to see or view that as a source of inspiration for creativity was unusual for me, and I do like that one. So I don't
You
have a
know,
second one for you. I mean, I have like a second through the 45th, but it'd be too hard to find all of those names.
yeah. So is your book as dog-eared as mine, Mason?
Actually, I have to say, I didn't get it till you recommended it. I'd
Oh,
heard of it. So this is like, wow, this is great stuff. Now, I've read a lot on creativity. Josh Linkner, you might know him. He's an
sure.
author who's written some wonderful books about creativity,
Yeah.
um, uh, great examples. But this is different. This is almost like foundational for me when I think of that this came out 25 plus years ago, or
And Mason and Catherine, what you both said 25 years ago, this was revolutionary and evolutionary, because this thought that we're all creative, no, I'm sorry, but you got to be responsible, get your head out of the clouds, stop daydreaming, you got to pay the bills and so forth. So what she said here and her spiritual approach to creativity was both why it broke out at the time, because it was so fresh, and why it's endured is because it is timely and timeless.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lee, let's hear what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote was, listening to the siren song of more, we are deaf to the still small voice waiting in our soul to whisper, you're enough. And what I like about that is I've been holding this thought for 20 years. I need to write a book. I need to write a book. And I really realized what a disservice and how selfish that was, because I'm holding, like was said, information that can serve, and really beautiful healing information. And if I don't do it, it's a disservice to my life and my story and my teaching, and to the people that it needs to reach. So that was really beautiful.
Lee, would you, and all of us, there's a quote in here about that we truly see when we close our eyes. And so could we close our eyes for a second, except for you, Lee, and could you read that quote again and just luxuriate it? Just roll the words around and savor them and say them with slow meaning and intent. And we're going to sink into them. Okay, please.
Absolutely. Listening to the siren song of more. We are deaf to the still small voice waiting in our soul to whisper, you're enough.
Oh, here's to the still small voice, huh? All right, on to question 2. And so the next one is morning pages. And of course, Julia Cameron created that. It is not an overstatement to say millions of people around the world in the last 25 years have discovered that morning pages is a way to clear the gunk off our writing windshield. Is that this whole idea of starting and writing longhand just as fast as we can with no criticism or judgment, just say it, just say it, just say it, no matter how trivial, no matter how petty, no matter how mundane, just say it, just say it, just say it, gets that tumultuous thoughts out of our mind, so we have a clear slate, and then we can focus on our work instead of having oh my God, make an appointment with the dentist. Oh, that sprinkler is still broken. I need to get stop at the, no. Get all that out in morning pages, all the petty stuff. And I can't believe she said that and so forth. Clean it out. And then we're open and clean and ready to work. So let's hear from you. How do you do morning pages, and what impact have they had on you?
Yes, I do. And I'm like Mason. I've heard about this book, but until you said we're going to do it, I hadn't read it. But Tim Ferriss put in his 5-bullet Friday in 2019. I know, because I wrote it down in my little magazine thing that I made for myself. I started writing them. And so at first I did it in Publisher to kind of give myself, that's on the computer, but I have found that I buy every year when the school supplies go on sale, 25 cents for these one subject notebooks, and I fill them up, and I have had experiences like I was at my sister's house and she was struggling with some kind of thing to teach her music students. And I just started writing about it, and it's amazing. You cannot write fast enough for the ideas to come. Other times I could be very mad at my husband. Guess where I take it out? In the notebook. So nobody else needs to read these notebooks because they're filled with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That was her intent, is because she saw how blocked people became because they were not expressing that. And it just got stuffed and just accumulated until there was no creative expression because we'd shut down all expression. Yeah. Yeah. Mason, how about you?
Sure. I had not been familiar with, I guess, where this originated, and the artist's way and this recommendation. I had learned from you the idea that when you think it, ink it. So I found myself over the last year and a half quickly typing in. I don't really write longhand anymore, but quickly typing in ideas as they came to me, and then letting that flow a bit more without thinking of it as a daily journaling or a morning event. Now that I'm starting to read this, I'm seeing that, boy, maybe that's got to be maybe that will be a much nicer way to start the morning rather than emails, rather than what messages are out there. Write a bit, couple of sentences, maybe a couple of paragraphs, or type, and see where that goes, because there are always thoughts coming to us.
Mm-hmm. You know what you're saying, Raymond Chandler said that if ever the words weren't coming, he would write faster, because the slow writing is the critical voice. That's when we start second guessing ourselves. That's when is that the right word, and the creativity comes to a halt. That critical voice kills it. And writing fast, which is what we do, once again, without censorship, without second guessing, is a way of practicing what we want to do when we write, is to just go with that flow, that voice that only comes out when we don't judge it. So, yep, got it. Lee, how about you?
Question about it. Do you use any of the writing if you like it, or this is just vomit?
A good question. I'm going to throw it out to the group. I've got an answer, but what do you think? Do you use, like Catherine, you were talking, sometimes you're mad at your husband, probably don't use that.
Yeah, no, I don't use that. Or if I'm frustrated with whoever, frustrations can go out, or I'm frustrated with myself. No, I'm not going to use that. But there's other times when I've said, okay, I'm stuck on writing the story or whatever, and I just write anything in this notebook because anything goes. And it really frees up. And then not freeze like with a Z, but frees you up. And I can use those ideas anywhere else. And, I haven't really gone through and reread my notebooks, but,
okay.
I think sometimes I ought to go back and curate them and see what nuggets of gold I've got.
Hey, by the way, Catherine, you juxtapose that vertical line down the center, freeze over on the left, F-R-E-E-Z-E, and F-R-E-E-S over on the right. When you start listening for what pops out, you see, we either freeze, right? Or it freezes up. It's a lovely shift there. So good. And Lee, you were going to say something else about whether you use it or not.
I was going to say that I have a morning spiritual practice for 5 minutes where I get grounded and I do my little thing to set myself up connected to God and have my intention for the day, which I think I could add to that to be part of my morning routine. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Just to make sure I get all the clutter out. But when I quiet my mind and I listen to the whispers of my soul, there's so much gold there that I try to stay there as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a client who had self-confessed writer's block, and the doubts had come, the imposter syndrome, the little devil on her shoulder that was just like, no one's going to want to read this, and this is never. And so she said that morning pages freed her up from writer's block, because it switched that slow, torturous process where we put down everything and we are already convinced it's not good enough. So I think morning pages both serves a goal in speeding it up and non-censoring. And I also think that the creativity that comes so fast, that things will flow out that are brilliant and pure creative that would not have come from the linear thinking mind.
Oh, I love that. And I think too, if I'm connected here from that
Mhm.
quiet time, then to allow what's coming during that moment to flow out
Yeah.
will be real pretty stuff.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our third question. Now, back then, once again, she completely disrupted the thought of creativity because her premise is that we are all artists. We are all creatives. And if you remember back then, it was like often we would paint something and we were told, no, that's not a house, or that's you've got to draw this bigger than that, or that's not the right color. The sun isn't red, the sun is yellow. And there was a lot of critique with art. And so for a lot of people, they grew up thinking, well, I'm not an artist. And I'm not good at it, because somewhere along the line, they were told that they were not good at it. So her premise, no, you are an artist. You are creative. Maybe you've been talked out of it. It's in there whispering, trying to be expressed. So I was very curious about what you felt of her assertion about that and what role that might have played in your life. So Lee, let's hear.
So I truly believe that we are all from the creator, the ultimate creator, and we are born creative.
Mm-hmm.
And we stifle it or we explode it and enjoy it. And I found that the more I remember that great fun stuff comes, like I'm in it, and more fun and more, I feel more alive when I'm in my creativity. And also shedding the story that I held forever until I went to therapy, that I'm not creative. I'm this kind of tough woman. And then as I healed, I was like, oh, I'm so creative. I'm creating jewelry. I'm writing this. I did a one-woman show. It's like, oh my gosh, I like makeup. I like to dress in all these things that I hadn't allowed myself to experience. And I think now when I talk to people, I say, yes, I design jewelry. Yes, I design clothes. Yes, and it's all true. It's not my main focus or everything. But as I let myself accept fully that I am a creator, I'm allowing myself to do the things that come before me and saying yes to the project. So it's been really profound for me.
Yeah. Mason, how about you? What's your story around being an artist, being creative?
Sure, it goes back a ways. I used to enjoy writing in school, and my writing, and it, is a little bit off. It seems very conversational. People read it and say, "I write like I speak." So there's the unexpected quip or joke that seems to come out of nowhere, and I put it down on paper. And I used to get good grades from one English teacher in high school. Transferred high schools, wrote in that same style, and then immediately got an F from the next teacher.
Wow.
And he said, no, it's not grammatically correct. It's not what we're teaching here. So I said, okay, let me redo it. I redid it and he gave me a B. And from that point on, it was like, well, if this is what people expect, that's probably where I should be going. I always thought that I had it within me. And then this is probably going back 15 plus years. I had put together a presentation. It was actually for the DC Ad Council, and it was a bit of a competition with a number of companies. And I represented mine with my mobile billboard advertising company. And there was Universal, and there were a couple of people up there. And I spoke, and I got my point across. I think I was entertaining. And a question came up, who did my creative? And I responded at the time, well, I'm not really the creative in this group. The ideas, the concepts, but the slides are elsewhere. And someone in the audience basically interrupted and said, I disagree. If you did that, that's extremely creative. That was you. That was how we met that day.
That was Sam?
So it was Sam. She was in the audience. I had no idea who she was.
How
But I
sweet.
thought to myself, wow, this is the nicest feedback I've ever heard. So I made a point to meet with Sam afterwards, and we continued meeting, and I had the privilege and the benefit of working with her. And that changed my outlook. And I thought, okay, I can go back and be more of who I am because people seem to respond to it. I knew that verbally in communication, I could entertain, I could keep people engaged, and I could also get important points across. But from a creative standpoint, I never looked at it that way. So that opened things up. And from there, I also realized that creativity is like, it's a spectrum. Sam, I put you right at the top. Okay. Wherever I am in there, I'm improving. And I believe we all have it. As a side note, Catherine, if you ever take your notes and write about your husband, I will pre-order your book. I'm telling you right now. So, but that's my story on creativity.
Thank you, Mason. And yes, to creativity being a spectrum. And Catherine, what's your story about creativity and growing up?
Well, what Mason said when he was talking about how some people can, I don't know, just kind of do something, their critique just, knocks it off. So I guess I would look at myself, and I've struggled with that. Do I want to put this out there? Am I brave enough to do this? And on the other end, I've been teaching piano lessons. I learned jazz starting when I was 38. I'm now 52. And, so learning as an adult, it totally changed every way I teach. Now we write songs, we do lots of stuff. Yes, there are musics with notes that you want to play just so, but you can create your own stuff too. And of course, I've been writing all my life, so how I blend that together. But I think I've always loved the creative stuff. And with her idea, if we're all creative, I would say I've always had that belief, but it's being brave enough when there's either critics within myself or outside critics that I've struggled with.
Isn't it's we're talking about stories about creativity, and Julia Cameron's story was that we are all artistic and all creative. And Tara Conklin says that our greatest work of art is the story we tell about ourselves. Isn't that interesting though? So, and by the way, Kendra, I'm giving you a shout out because I can't see everyone on the call. So if someone is in chat or someone is raising their hand and I don't see them, please let me know, interrupt and let me know so that we can give others an opportunity to share their stories and input. Sound good?
Sam, did we just answer number 2 or 3? Because I think there was a combo there and I would love to answer 3 if that's what it was.
Good, that you are right. I kind of combined them. And so I'm going to ask another question and you get to answer whatever question you want, because in a way, if something about this book resonated with you, that's what a book club is about. Is like, whoa, this, was like the Holy Grail for me, or this really had an important impact on me. So here's our next question, and then go ahead and answer what you would like. Is that,
Did she? Oh,
yeah. I'm trying to read my handwriting here.
that's so horrible.
Okay. It sounds like you have the questions right in front of you. It's so the 4th question is, because the 3rd one, the 2nd one is about morning pages, and the 3rd one is about we're all artists, and the 4th one is, did someone tell you a story along the way that talked you out of, like, you're bad at this and you concluded that you were going to abandon it and so forth. So Lee, I see your hand up. Go ahead and answer
I was
that
just
one.
going to say that's actually question 3.
Okay, that's
And
3.
yes, that happened to me. All of my family are really amazing singers, really great. And we used to sing all the time, and they would always laugh at me saying, oh my God, listen to Lee, and you're the worst one, or Lee's the only one that can't sing. And I have a pretty good singing voice. Like, people tell me you have a good voice now, but I still have that, like, I don't really want to sing. And it's just so funny. That was implanted in me when I was young, and all my siblings were in the musicals and, and everything. And I was too, but I wasn't singing. I was doing other things with my voice. But anyway, so that was something that I probably still can work with, because I still feel like it's a little bit in there.
It's what you're bringing up. In fact, I'm going to wait to bring it up, is that you may see that I'm kind of on the road right now. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm at the Washington West Film Fest. And one of my clients, Chris Burdish, who actually won Jaws. If you've ever seen the big surfing contest at Jaws, he won Jaws. He actually stand-up paddleboard across the Atlantic. If you can
Wow.
imagine stand-up paddleboard across the Atlantic. And there was a documentary made about that, and it's premiering here at the Washington West Film Fest. And so I asked Chris about the artist way and being creative, because he's been an athlete and a waterman from a very early age, and yet that's his art. That's what he said, is that in this documentary, having this challenge, which he uses as a way of bringing attention, which is part of Julia's message to climate change and to plastic trash in the ocean and so forth. He said that this is his art, and to have a documentary made about the crossing, but to have art for a cause and for a purpose is what is his contribution. And Pablo Picasso said, the purpose of life is to find our gifts, and the meaning is to give them away. And I think that when we find our artistic gift, something that lights us up, and we can do it, and it's not just fulfilling for us, it actually adds value for others. Does it get better than that? Yep. So here's the question. It's okay. It's let's talk about art and money. It's that somewhere along the line, did you get the story that writing wouldn't pay the bills and you could not earn a living from it? And how did that impact you? So let's talk about writing and money right now. So comment stories, because one of the things that Julia says, she never says, do what you love and the money will follow, which of course is the name of a very popular book. And a lot of people scoffed at, it's like, oh yeah, do what you love, the money won't follow and it won't pay the bills. So there's a real controversy around this thought that doing what you love and trusting in it, that it will actually be a way to earn a living. So tell me about money and art and writing and where you are on that spectrum. Okay, Lee, go ahead.
So money for me has been interesting because I was married for 21 years and he provided, and I stayed home with the 5 kids, although I did my own kind of thing on the side for fun. But he's gone. I mean, we're divorced now, he's moved out. And now the things that I want to do, I have to write my book. I know it's time. I'm going to take out the word have. I'm ready to write my book, because I know it is one of the calling cards for me to do all the things that I know are coming for me. So I know that my book is going to bring abundance, not maybe in book sales, but in my bigger sharing with the world. So that's an interesting thing for me, is knowing that this is a beautiful gem that's going to come out of me, that's going to facilitate abundance in my life.
Interesting word, abundance. How do you define abundance?
Abundance to me is, I'm going to say happiness, feeling full and living on purpose. And I also feel that God rewards you abundantly when you are giving and you are of service. And I think that will be a platform for me with my book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that, it's abundance is being wealthy in what matters, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that your definition?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
And I think Garth Brooks said, you're not really rich until you have something money can't buy.
Mm.
And I think that wealth and what matters is often, yeah. So it's Mason, I see you nodding your head sagely, and then Catherine, let's hear from you. Your thoughts, money, writing, art,
The money,
creativity.
the writing, I enjoy the writing, and I like getting feedback, and I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback. People find, for example, the book that you helped me with, The Chutzpah Advantage, it has very important points that are being made. It's entertaining and humorous at times, but I've had a couple of people say, there was a point where it unexpectedly brought them to tears. And I kind of didn't think it was that unexpected, because I knew exactly which chapter I had written. I never really saw the book as being a moneymaker. One thing I've learned at the level I am in terms of writing and publication and fans or people who are buying books, there isn't a lot of money left for us, even when we self-publish, until you hit a high quantity of books sold. The money for me comes from another creative side, and that is using the books to leverage speaking engagements or workshops or training. And that also requires a lot more creativity. And in a way, I'm more comfortable with that.
Mhm.
So the book is a platform, it's a tool to earn the money that I need to live
Mhm.
through public speaking or training, working with corporations on that side.
Mhm. Well, be sure and tune in next month when our guest is Fawn Germer, who is one of the top female keynoters in the country, nominated for 4 Pulitzers. IBM, Coca-Cola, you name it, she's done it. And so she will be talking both about how she has just launched a podcast that's been very successful out of the gate, just a month, and she already has a lot of traction for it. And so how she gets her guest and how she did have a successful podcast just right after launch, and also how to get paid speaking engagements. So be sure and check in with her inside the author studio next month. So Catherine, any thoughts about money, writing, creativity?
If I worry too much about money, then it gets too hard to write. So it's best not to worry about the money.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Although the money I've made writing was writing technical stuff about network management software at Intel. So I made good money doing that. But I don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a quick, in 2 minutes, I'm going to hold myself accountable for it, story about money and writing and doing what we love and being artistic with our life, making our life our art, is that I announced at the National Press Club that I was going to go on my year by the water, which is where I gave away 95% of what I owned and headed out around the country. And I was going to write, I was going to interview people. Are you happy? If so, why? If not, why not? And then it ended up in the Some Days Not a Day in the Week book. But see, here's the thing, there were no guarantees. And one woman came over to me. Most people said, hey, take me with you. And 3 people did not. One came over and said, are you sick? She was assuming that I must be on my deathbed in order to make such a drastic move to do what I really wanted to do, something that was very artistic, that had no clear business payoff to it. And another person said, is this a midlife crisis? I told him it was midlife clarity, that doing our art, making our life our art, was not indulgent or selfish, that most of us have worked hard all of our lives and that we deserve to do something like this. And then the third person said, Sam, you better not let this story get out, because if your clients find off that you're off the grid, your business is going to go away. And when you come back, everything you work for is going to be gone. And I really had a crisis of conscience. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. Good news in the Washington, and it's CBS Sunday Morning. That Sunday, James Taylor was being interviewed. And the interviewer said, well, it's been 12 years since your last album. What happened? And he said, I've been touring. He said, I need time and space to write. And the interviewer said, oh, so you took time off work to write, huh? And you know what he said? I didn't take time off work. I did a different kind of work. See, I really believe that writing and doing what calls us, if it's artistic, even when there's no guaranteed business financial in, that it will often resonate with people. And that if we trust the deep dive into the creativity, that it will pay off in abundance or in ways that we could not imagine. Maybe not necessarily the bank account, but in abundance and in wealth in ways that, money can't buy. So, hey, we've got about 5 minutes left. So we're going to do some quick, here are some other quotes from this book. Let's see if you have, there's a great one on page 131 about imagination. Let's look at it real quick. And, Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So quick round, do you use your imagination? Do you think about your imagination? Do you say to yourself, I'm imaginative? Catherine, lightning round, go.
Yes, definitely, because knowledge can't work if you don't use your imagination to make it work.
Okay, Mason, lightning round, imagination.
The knowledge that I pick up from you, from other thought leaders, stimulate my imagination. So I see them working hand in hand, but absolutely, imagination is critical.
Yeah, Lee?
When I listen with the ears of my heart, things come to me greater than my human brain. And I'm in conversations, having conversations with people who are doing things I thought I would know nothing about, and helping them bring their things together by tapping into this and quieting this. So I'm very imaginative, especially when I'm not using my limited thinking.
Listening, imagination is listening to the ears of the heart.
Listening with
Woman.
with my ears, the
Yes.
ears of my heart. With,
Yes. Kudos to you. Okay, page 55. There's a really great one from Jackson Pollock about the painting has a life of its own. I try to let it come through. So 60 seconds, Barbara Kingsolver, really a beloved author, said at the Maui Writers Conference that she couldn't wait to wake up in the morning and come downstairs to see what her characters had to say. And all of our authors, even our left brainers, would talk about the point at which the book would take on a life of its own and start telling them what wanted to be said if they listened with the ears of their heart. So have you discovered that magic in writing when all of a sudden the book starts telling you what wants to be said? Catherine?
Definitely, yes. And that's the best place to be, because then the story starts writing itself and telling you, and you're not sitting there thinking, oh, what am I going to do now? That characters tell you, I'm writing a story now, and what I thought might happen, just, you have some thoughts. It changed.
Yep.
So once it starts writing itself, I love that. When the art starts talking to you.
Yay for art talking to us. Mason?
I would agree that when writing, I try and create an outline of where I thought I was headed. And while I was writing, different thoughts would come to my mind. And I would think to myself, I wonder if I need medication to control it. I don't have it. I'm just going to move forward and go with it. So absolutely, it does take a life of its own.
Yeah. And Lee, how about you?
it happened right before this. I'm in a writing group right after this. And I was writing my piece for tonight about my husband. And all of a sudden, my son, it just became what I wrote about. Like there's one kind of story that popped in and I just started writing about it. And it brought me to tears and it felt so good to be writing it. I just finished my writing assignment with my son incorporated in it. And I knew that needed to come out and to be heard tonight. And it also, writing right before, reminded me of that voice inside of me that's saying, please make time, set aside time. I have so much that needs to come out. So it's just a beautiful blessing.
Thank you for bringing up writing is a blessing. It is such a gift. So many people talk about how hard it's hard work and they have writer's block and it's a gift and a blessing. It is wealth and what matters. All right, let's wrap up with a quote from Rumi, once again from Julia Cameron's classic book, The Artist Way. And we've all read it. If you haven't read it, just treat yourself. There's a reason why it just celebrated its 25th anniversary. It's going to be around for another 25 years. This quote is from Rumi. And he said, inside you, there's an artist you don't know about. Say yes quickly if you know, if you've known it from before the beginning of the universe. So here's to saying yes to the artist within with the help of her classic book. So let's set up this week. So how are you going to say yes to your writing this week? 60 seconds. Catherine, ready, go.
I'm just going to sit down and write it. And if I don't have an idea, who cares? I'll just start writing in my morning pages, which I don't do in the morning. I do them whenever I do it, any time throughout the day.
Mhm.
And then the ideas just start coming.
Okay, so yes to writing. Mason, how are you going to say yes to your writing this week?
Well, I'm fortunate in that sometimes deadlines stimulate the writing, doesn't slow me down. And a week from tonight, actually before we meet again for this book club, I do the first of a 4-part live series based on my book. And there's a lot of rewriting because I don't want to repeat what's necessarily in the book. It's
Yeah.
not a book club, but rather it's new concepts and expanding on it. So that's an easy way for me to say yes. Ooh, that deadline is hanging over my head.
Yeah. Yay for deadlines. So Lee, how are you going to say yes to your writing this week?
I'm committing to make the time to write.
Mhm, mhm. Good. Okay.
I wanted to say daily, but I didn't want to pigeonhole myself.
Okay, so yes to writing, yes
Yes.
to Julia Cameron's book, yes to next week when we have a member showcase and a Ask Me Anything. So if you have project questions, whatever, pepper me with them and we'll jump right in. And I've enjoyed it. See you next week, and then plan the first Wednesday in November with Fawn Germer, who is as enthusiastic, articulate, inspiring, and pragmatic as you could possibly hope for. Onward. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sam. Thank
you.
you, Catherine, Lee, and Kendra.
Nice
Everyone,
work.
see you next week.